The 2026 FIFA World Cup meal at McDonald's is underway with one of 9 legendary cups in the lineup. Christian Pulisic, David Beckham, Lamine Yamal, Ronaldinho, Thierry Henry, Son Heung-min, Alphonso Davies, Santi Jimenez. And between the posts, it's Grimace. Get one of 9 collectible cups with a FIFA World Cup meal. At participating McDonald's for a limited time while supplies last. All rights reserved. 2026 McDonald's at FIFA World Cup 2026.
This episode is brought to you by Prime. What if you had one more chance with the one that got away?
Sam, you came home.
Based on the best-selling novel from Carly Fortune. Every Year After follows childhood friends Sam and Percy as they reunite in the dreamy, nostalgic lakeside town of Barry's Bay.
Love can be hard to find. So if you're lucky enough to find that person, never let go.
A second chance at first love. Every Year After, now streaming only on Prime.
Pod Save the King!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Pod Save the King. It has been a beautiful week here in the UK. We've seen the Royals out in the sunshine at Royal Ascot. We've seen them at Trooping the Colour. The Wales is supporting the King and Queen, bringing their children. We've got new news of where Prince George will be going to school. And the Princess of Wales has penned an essay following her Italy trip to Reggio Emilia with her work, featuring the early years development of the centre that she's been working on. So, where to start? I'm your host, Russell Myers, the Royal Editor of the Daily Mirror, and I'm joined as ever by Jennifer Newton. We were actually, you may have seen on social media, we were all together for the first time in ages, in real life. We were at the News Podcast Awards last night in London. We sadly didn't win, but, you know, it was fantastic to be involved in such a prestigious event. Myself and Jennifer were there with producer Dan. Very best wishes to the Royals with Roya and Kate at the Times, who did take the honours for the Royal category. But it was great to be involved at the Society of Editors Awards. And nice day, wasn't it, Jen? It sort of gave us a flavour of the sort of podcast world, and so many people doing some amazing things, you know, whether that's sort of investigations or sports or general news. And, you know, us flying the flag for Pod Save the King for the Royals as well.
Yep, we were flying the flag. Yeah, like you say, we didn't win, but it was a tough category, and yeah, I think we were in amongst some other really good podcasts. So yeah, I think everyone had a great day, didn't they? Yeah,
we did, and you know, we're big fans of all the other Royal pods as well. You know, it's not I suppose there may be some competition of people who that are doing different things, but I think we all are doing things in our own way. You know, we try and give you a sort of a light-hearted view of royal life for the House of Windsor. You know, others might be a bit more flashy with their studios and what have you. And I know certainly Roy and Kate were praised for how they deliver their take on the royal family each week. So thanks to everyone who continues to listening to Pod Save the King. We've been doing this now for about 9 years, can you believe? And we really, really appreciate everybody who tunes in every week. But listen, let's dive straight into to Royal Ascot, because not only has it been a fantastic week of racing, it's still not over. It's got today, Friday and Saturday as well. We've seen the King and Queen attending on most days so far. And on Tuesday, or Wednesday rather, I was lucky enough to be there with some of the other royal correspondents. And not just us, it was the return of the Princess of Wales, because she was there for the first time in 3 years, looking absolutely resplendent in what are we calling this dress? Is it canary yellow? Somebody called it lemon yellow.
Oh, canary, lemon. I think take your pick.
It was pretty bright. It was befitting of the day, because we've had some absolutely stunning weather over here in the UK, and William and Catherine attending the race together. They presented a couple of awards to the winners during the day as well. And, you know, this sort of marked the return, not only of the return to Royal Ascot for the Princess of Wales, but a really sort of heavy day, I suppose, and sort of a bit of lightness in the darkness of what was a pretty extraordinary story that emerged during the day on Wednesday. Our listeners will remember that we first broke the incredible exclusive story in about March 2024 relating to the Princess of Wales's medical records. There's someone at a hospital worker at the London clinic in Marylebone, where she had been previously treated in January of that year for her abdominal surgery, had been suspected of accessing her medical records. I remember when we did the story, Jen, it went absolutely round the world, didn't it? I mean, it sent shockwaves not only through the palaces, but the hospital. Lots of people asking, how on earth somebody got hold of these medical records. Were the private details of the royal family safe? What were the hospital to blame in any way? Was this sort of just an isolated incident? And it sort of gave you, posed the question of not only how safe for the royal family, even when they're in hospital, of being taken advantage of, but what do we expect of our royal family? Because it's something like I found that such a brutal invasion. That they really do show so much of their lives. They are expected to be on show when they're out in public. As journalists, of course, and as royal fans, we want to know about the lives of the main senior members of the royal family. But this seemed to have been such a wild extreme that they would have to deal with. Before we come on to sort of what has happened, do you think that there was sort of a reckoning of that at that time? Because it followed those insane social media rumours. The trolls were out in force, speaking about why we hadn't seen the Princess of Wales. Had she had sort of cosmetic surgery? Had it gone wrong? Remember that new sort of news show in Spain where that journalist had said that she'd had botched cosmetic surgery or something? It was outrageous. And I thought that little did we know at the time. It was 3 days after our story that Catherine did make that incredible statement saying that she'd been diagnosed with cancer. So she'd been battling that whilst knowing that there'd been this breach of her medical records, that invasion of her privacy. Can take us back to that time. And I in all my years in journalism, I haven't known sort of hysteria like it. It was truly incredible, wasn't it?
I think it was like, the only word I can describe it as is crazy. It was just every day there was somebody saying something, claiming something, asking where she was. And it was like, well, they did say that she wasn't going to be, at the time before we knew she had cancer, they did say that she wasn't going to be doing any public duties until at least Easter. And it was like, a month on and we hadn't seen her, and people just wanted more and more. And like even people who I know, personally outside of work, who don't really follow the royal family, that's all they want to know. Like, what's the matter with Kate? Where is she? Where is she? And it was just, I think it was just fueled by probably social media. And you even had, some celebrities who probably should have known better, who were kind of taking advantage of the situation, doing like memes and that sort of thing. And it could have been something like this that has fueled this person to have tried to access these records, possibly. I mean, obviously, we don't know the actual reason, why they wanted to do it in the first.
On that, I think sort of half right. I mean, we didn't at the time know sort of why this individual had wanted to access the princess's medical records. We, as you rightly say, it was that hysteria and craziness of the time of where on earth is the princess? Why haven't we seen her? I mean, it was just absolutely ridiculous. And as you said, Kensington Palace had made very clear that we weren't going to see her until Easter. She'd been in hospital for a couple of weeks. She had managed to leave the hospital without being seen. She was recovering in private, and then of course had that sort of that very private experience of being told that she'd been diagnosed with cancer. Now, what had happened this week when we first brought you the news that the hospital worker involved had been sacked and also struck off the medical register. But it then emerged from the Information Commissioner's Office, who were investigating this criminal offence, that they had cautioned the worker for what they described as the deliberate misuse of highly sensitive personal information, which was done, and this is the real shocking part of this, which was done for financial gain. Now, for this hospital worker to not only access the records, that's a huge invasion of trust. It's a dereliction of duty and of ethics. But we now know that this hospital worker was touting around the princess's medical information for cash. I mean, they wanted to. One presumes that they were contacting various news organisations. The Mirror had not been contacted, but that was their reason for doing so. I mean, I think that makes it all the more shocking. I remember at the time sources telling me that all the staff were utterly shocked and distraught, and the London clinic this week said that they were pleased that this sad and isolated incident has been brought to a conclusion. The hospital was found that it was found that there was no regulatory breaches at the hospital. But I suppose it it does, it sort of begs the question of should this surely is too much, isn't it? And I think there was sort of a reckoning of people having to think long and hard of their behaviour, of how they behaved on social media, the discussions that people were sort of openly having of something that should have remained incredibly and deeply private.
Yeah, definitely. I think people, should have thought long and hard about it themselves when they heard that the reason why we weren't seeing her in public, even though we weren't expected to, was because she had this going on behind closed doors, which she eventually, when she was good and ready, was able to share with the world on her own terms, which is like more than, she should have been able to do that in the first place. But it does make you think, even, when we're going back to, like, you're talking about her being at Royal Ascot on Wednesday, when she's there, all the cameras are on her, like, constantly. Even, when you see all the pictures drop in from the day, she's in the royal box, she's got, talking to her mum or talking to whoever. There's pictures all of the time. And it must be quite a strange existence to have so many eyes on you all of the time. And then to know that you can't even, potentially go to hospital and have a private time there. It's very, very strange.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
And the London Clinic is very, very used to treating senior members of the royal family. The late Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip had been treated there. They've treated presidents, prime ministers, celebrities, you name it. They are very, very used to operating very strict circumstances. I think, reading between the lines, that this was an isolated incident. As we said, that the hospital was found not to have been in dereliction of its duty. But of course, and you're talking about the intense atmosphere that follows the royal family. Whenever we're on engagements, we see everyone getting up their phones. People talking to the royal family while they're holding a phone with one hand and sort of barely looking them in the eye. I mean, of course, that is the unfortunate nature of the society we live in. I mean, everybody is immersed on their screens, their phones, whether people are on social media or not. Billions of people around the world are, and it is this sort of consumption of content. And I do feel for them a lot of the time. I mean, I think that when they're taking time out of their day to speak to members of the public and they're going around doing walkabouts, and people have still got a phone in their face or asking to take selfies, it must be pretty grating. I can't imagine all the training in the world, you wouldn't get used to that. It must be pretty off-putting. And certainly was the same at Royal Ascot, because Catherine had returned. She was the big star attraction, and you should have seen the parade ring. I mean, it was absolutely packed. It was sort of like 30 deep right at the back. People trying to get their phones up in the air. I mean, I'm as guilty as anyone because we do this for a job, but no, it is just the way of the world, isn't it? And I suppose when the Waleses, or indeed Harry and Meghan, or any sort of celebrity who has children, especially, that must be a real concern. And the reason I bring this up, of course, we've seen a bit more of the Wales children over the past few years. We of course saw them at Trooping the Colour last Saturday. I mean, how much do you think that William and Catherine would have prepared their children for the world that they've entered, and do you think that they've sort of given them the right grounding of maybe saying, we do live in this incredibly pressurized world, but we're going to try and protect you as much as possible? I mean, it must be a difficult situation for them.
Yeah, I think it is, because even, somebody like William, who has grown up in the royal family and has had that his whole life, I think it's even different for him. If when you think back to when he was 13, no one was going around with a camera on a phone in their pocket, everywhere they went. And, it's a slightly different time. And obviously they have tried to protect them as much as they can. And, with their school life, and it's not, we don't see them that often at engagements. It's only at the really big, big set piece of the year engagements like Troop and the Colour that we would see them at. But it is, I mean, I don't know how you can prepare even a small child to say that there's going to be people there and they're going to be wanting to take your picture and you won't know who they are and they're going to be waving and you're expected to wave back. I suppose it is pretty difficult, but then maybe they have to learn young, because that is the life they've got ahead of them.
Yeah, and these people, they are human as well. I remember speaking to the people close to them, not only when we've done these sorts of these stories in the past about the children and Catherine's cancer battle and the hospital records, but I wasn't around for Trooping last week, but I saw the coverage afterwards of the protesters from Republic and sort of shouting things at the royal family, and a lot have been made about the Princess of Wales's demeanour and how she turned and looked at them, and it wasn't a scowl; it was just I thought it was a very protective look over her shoulder. And it was almost saying, say what you like to us, but there are young children here in front of us. There is a time and a place to protest and raise your point. And if you don't agree with the royal family or how it's funded or whatever, absolutely. We live in a democracy. I think any member of the royal family absolutely realises that there'll always be questions about their existence. But when the children are involved, it seems that that surely is off limits. I mean, you'd have to be pretty hard nosed to suggest otherwise. And the reason why I sort of wanted to mention the children today is because obviously we've seen the news being finally confirmed. I mean, it's been quite a sort of a long running speculation over the last few years about where Prince George would go to school, and I know that there were some runners and riders. Eton has long been considered the front rider for George's education, but of course Marlborough was entertained. There were other schools that the Prince and Princess of Wales did look at, but he will be attending Eton College, which is conveniently just sort of around the corner and up the road from their house in Windsor. I mean, he is not only going to be boarding there, he'll be following the footsteps of his father. It's an incredible amount of money. It's £63,000 a year. That's about $90,000 US dollars these days. I mean, what sort of precedent does this send? I mean, it seemed fairly obvious to me that he would go there. I understand it's been long in the running since the start of the school year that George would go to Eton. He's visited. He was very, very comfortable in the surroundings. But was there an expectation or was there a hope that they would do something different? I mean, he's not going to go to your local comprehensive school. So what are the options available? He possibly could have gone to Marlborough. Marlborough is a co-educational school, and Eton being all boys. I mean, surely the most elitist school in the country. I think it's educated 20 prime ministers in the UK. I mean, there'll be obviously members of other royal families who have had their schooling at Eton, but Eton do give some bursaries for other children from less advantaged backgrounds to go. So was there an expectation? Was there a hope that they would do something different?
I think to be fair, I don't think that the news took anyone by surprise that he's going to Eton. And it does make sense in many ways because, William went there so he can pass on his experience to his son and say, this is what to expect. Like you say, there's a lot of children who go there who are from, what you would deem as, VIP families. So they're used to dealing with children going there who might need, specific security arrangements and requirements and that sort of thing. But I think what has made some people not question it, but just, put the point out there is that we always think of William as this going to be this new modernizing force for the royal family, whereas this school, you could argue, is very, archaic, prestigious, that sort of thing. And does that really match up with what he wants to be as a modernizer? But then, I mean, not just because George is going to this school and is going to, probably be surrounded by other privileged children, that William and Kate still can't give him a sense of what it's like in the real world and what it's like for people to be on hard times. We've seen William take him to a homeless shelter, so it's, I suppose I would say for William and Kate, they've kind of got that like balancing act to play with him, maybe.
Yeah, it is, and I think it is a perfect demonstration of how that the Prince and Princess of Wales are trying to live their life in, to modernise the monarchy, to possibly be less traditional than the previous generations. However, let's not forget they exist in a 1,000-year-old institution, and perhaps sometimes when it comes to things like this, it's better the devil you know, because as you rightly pointed out, one of the main concerns would be security, the sort of actions of other VIP children, the way that the school is used to catering to those sorts of requests and demands of children who operate in those sorts of environments. And when it comes to it, was there any other option? I think that they can sort of hold on to tradition, of course, within the institution, and they can still, want to be modernizers. I think we will see that in abundance. We will see that with William's coronation. We've seen that with them talking about mental health. We'll come on to the way that the princess is spearheading this early years campaign and about sort of love and nurture. And that doesn't take away from how they are as a family. I think that whether he's going to board, he'll certainly, I imagine, coming home on weekends. It's just down the road. But it does sort of give him. It will give him access to a very exclusive inner circle, won't he? And then certainly William has still got friends from his prep school, which was an exclusive private school, and Eton as well. So maybe he just thought that the overriding concern would be to surround George within that world. I don't think it, as you said, it was a surprise. Maybe it is a lost opportunity, but when you're operating on that sort of scale, perhaps the options are very, very limited.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Marvel Television's Wonder Man, an 8-episode series, now streaming on Disney+.
A superhero remake, not exactly what we'd expect from an Oscar-winning director.
Action! Simon Williams, audition for Wonder Man.
I'm gonna need you to sign this, assuming you don't have superpowers.
I'll never work again if anyone found out.
My lips are sealed.
Marvel Television's Wonder Man. All 8 episodes now streaming, only on Disney+.
Talking about the sort of nurturing environment, we've seen that the Princess of Wales has released or penned an essay following her trip to Italy. She visited Reggio Emilia just a few weeks ago, one of the places in the world that is incredibly renowned for its approach to early years development of children. And she has been talking of forming connections, trying to find the meaning in life, talking about all of us being guilty of being on our screens in this increasingly digitized world. But I thought it was a really thought-provoking essay, really, because she was talking, I think, really from not only her experience in Italy, the people that she met, the sort of research that she was carrying out on that 2-day visit. But also, it spoke to me a lot of her own profound experience that we have seen in recent months, talking about the need to immerse yourself in nature, get outside, experience life beyond the sort of confines of our jobs and our screens, and getting out. And she said, children give her hope. Their natural openness, their curiosity, the simplicity of how they live their lives, but also their sort of ability to wonder, dream, and play, reminded her of the best qualities in human life. And I mean, where are we expecting more of this? I've always thought of, would Catherine be taken more seriously in her work with the Early Years Development Research Centre if she was to do sort of professional qualification? Could she do a master's degree? Could she do a PhD? Does that matter? I mean, we often say that you only learn journalism when you're doing it. You can't necessarily learn it in a school. So is her world immersing herself in this sort of real life research, going and meeting teachers, speaking to children, looking in their different environments, and then also speaking to experts? Is that better, do you think, of having I suppose a very laudable qualification like a PhD?
Well, I mean, I suppose why can't you do both?
This is like we always say, that the Royals' job is a marathon, not a sprint. You can probably, she's a job for life, so she's probably got a good 40 years ahead of her at least.
Yeah, I mean, why can't she do both and learn, the academic side of it and the practical side of it? I mean, in terms of the practical side, I do think obviously she goes to these schools and it looks like she does really enjoy it and learn from it. But do you think maybe the schools are kind of put on because they know they've got a VIP visitor there? It might be like a little bit.
We call it Ofsted in the UK.
Yeah.
When you were at school and you get the inspectors come round and everybody's had to sort of, there's a fresh lick of paint in the hallways, or everybody's got new books, or at least everybody's on their best behaviour for fear of being punished at school. I suppose that's always the way when you get members of the royal family turning up. But this essay really sort of spoke to me, as though people ask me all the time of what is she actually learning, what is she actually bringing to the table. And I did find it really thought provoking. Talking about healthy social and emotional development. Talking about relationships and how, I suppose, after COVID, we all craved that, didn't we? Of all being with our families, we were able to go outside again and enjoy being in nature. And the world can become such a depressing and pretty heavy place sometimes, with sort of wars and deprivation, and the news cycle can be pretty depressing when you're sort of tapped into it. And when you're talking about the simplicity of life, being able to wander, get outside in nature, all these things are free. We can get outside and experience so many different things. This is absolutely not about privilege. It is about trying to live your best life, as it were, by being having relationships with the people around you. I mean, I did think it was a very well written, and it was also really emphasizing how she wants to put early childhood on the global agenda, because we heard that after Italy, that this was the first foray into not only international travel for her, having not traveled for about 3.5 years, but this is very much like she sees nurturing children should be viewed with the same urgency and sense of mission as other global challenges like climate change. I mean, that's surely the mission. And I mean, is that something she can achieve? I think when you look at how she's trying to do this, it's definitely going to be a life's work, isn't it? And trying to affect that generational change.
Well, I think so, yeah, because it's not something, like you can start doing now and we're going to see results or, things happen from it in a couple of months. It is going to be a long time to see, when we've got, children who are maybe 2, 3, 4 years old now, and see what they're going to be like in 20 years time. But so it is going to be, a long period of time where she's going to have this project ongoing. And I think it could actually be something that is going to get even more focused on in the future, because we're talking about there, being on your mobile phone, that sort of thing, being on screens, computers, that's only going to get even more of a, people are going to spend even more time on them probably in the future, because everything is, you can't even, live your life without a mobile phone these days. You've got to do it for everything, banking,
Everything.
making appointments for everything.
You lose access to your whole life if you lose your phone. We live in that sort of privileged world where we're so immersed in it. I mean, it's very interesting that this has come during the week where the British government are going to ban social media for under 16s. I mean, everything, it would seem, apart from Reddit, and there was one other social media site, but YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, it's all going to be banned for under 16s. And talking to parents who have kids around that age or younger, they think it's just a wonderful thing. Trying to get, I mean, you probably don't believe it, but Jennifer and I are old enough before the days of mobile phones.
You can speak for yourself.
Or young enough, I should say, or not old enough. And
I remember it.
And having that sort of childhood, and I think that we've lost a sense of kids. We do. I do think that kids have lost a sense of wonder. And I was on the train the other day looking at some group of school kids who were on a school trip, and they were all glued to their phones. And I thought, oh God, I mean, as I was as well. But it's something that is a way of life. But hopefully, whilst that maybe we all need educating. That's not only the children, but it's also the parents and caregivers, people who work in schools and look after children. We all need a bit more education and realizing that sort of coming back to the simplicity of life will sort of give us more opportunities. And best of luck to Princess Wales with this, because it is a big challenge to take on. I'm sure there will be other developments in the future. It'll be interesting to see where she goes. I think the UAE was discussed, possibly going over there maybe sometime in the next few months. We'll look out for it. But we will bring you some news from our sort of transatlantic cousins, because Harry and Meghan are coming back to the UK. It has emerged this week. It was first reported on news.com.au that Harry and Meghan are going to be bringing the children back to the UK. Harry was due to attend the 1 year countdown to the Invictus Games being in the city of Birmingham. Next year, they're going to be a celebration of the Invictus Games. The 1 year countdown is going to be just in a few weeks' time, in early July. And now Meghan is going to come. I mean, this is following hot on the heels of Harry's very protracted case against the British government. He took the government and the Home Office to the High Court over his security being taken away. Then he took the case to the Court of Appeal. He lost that as well. And then finally asked the Home Secretary for a review. So it does seem that he has been given this. There has been no statement officially from the Home Office, but we understand that he has been given assurances that he will have this taxpayer-funded security. I mean, he must have done, because he said that the UK was not safe enough to bring his wife and his children. He desperately wanted to bring them over to experience his home country. I mean, it's been a long time. It was the Queen's Platinum Jubilee that they were last here all together. Harry and Meghan last here together for the late Queen's funeral. But it's been a long time. What does this all mean? I mean, will we? First of all, I suppose we will see Harry and Meghan on the stage at Invictus. That will be a big deal. I imagine they'll do some other engagements, probably some engagements with organisations such as Well Child and Scotty's Little Soldiers. I don't imagine we will see much of the children, will we? I mean, they've been fiercely protective of their children. But what do you think the schedule looks like for the Sussexes when in the UK?
Yeah, well, it does seem that, the theme of Invictus being, military personnel and supporting people who have been, wounded in action, that those sort of engagements are going to be something that they're going to be doing while they're over here, and, making time for these other organisations that they've also supported over the years, even since they've not been living in the UK. And, I think the big question on everybody's lips is there going to be enough downtime for Harry and Meghan and the children so they can, possibly go and have a meeting with the King?
Well, I understand they're going to be here for about a week, so one would imagine that we will be seeing them driven into the gates of Clarence House, or possibly, will they do it a bit more privately? Will they head up to Sandringham? Will they stay at Highgrove for a couple of days with the King? I mean, it's also so interesting. One would imagine that if they're going to see the King, there has to be some form of assurances given to the royal family about book into TV interviews or further chapters in a book which may come out in the future about these meetings, because every time that there has been some engagement with the royal family, Harry and Meghan have then ended up speaking about that, or we've heard from sources close to them about how meetings went or the sort of the issues surrounding the relationship. So while I don't think that this spells the necessary brand new relationship, perhaps the green shoots of reconciliation are upon us. I do expect Harry and Meghan and the children to see the King. I can't imagine that they will be seeing William and Catherine and the Wales children. I think that still is very, very raw for the Prince and Princess of Wales. Could the King bring them together? Could it be a sort of weekend affair at one of his houses? It'll be a very neutral ground, whether that's Sandringham or Balmoral. You just never know, do you? I suppose it could be, if the King wills it, then possibly William would have to fall in line. But listen, we'll be covering Harry and Meghan's jaunt over to the UK. It will be no doubt very, very interesting, what the engagements they're covering and the people that they are going to see as well. Plenty more, obviously, on that and the activities of the Waleses and the rest of the royal family for next week. We will be bringing you some updates of the King and Queen's engagements. They're going to be out and about next week. And please do join us on social media. I'm at Russell J. Myers. Jennifer is at Jennifer Newton1. And of course, we are at Pod Save on social media. Until next time.
Pod Save the King!
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.